Hey guys, it's Kelsey. Welcome back to our Mojo series with me and Leah. So I know today Leah is doing the Make an Impact with Black prompt from Mercy Tiara. I have another prompt of my own. Hopefully it'll be a little easier to wrap your head around than my first one. I really love using mood boards for inspiration, but I know that was a lot to get your head around. So this is a little bit of an easier one to kind of help you get started. This is something I really love to do when I'm feeling stuck, and that is to start with a photo heavy layout. So I've done this a lot in the past where if I'm having issues creating, I just find a page that uses a lot of photos, because the more photos you have, the less room you have to design, which I find as a really easy place to start, because just starting that first layout, getting back with something that you don't have to compose really an entire page, really helps me get going. And then usually after that first page, I kind of can unblock myself. So I just went through my Instagram and screenshotted a couple photos for some ideas so you can kind of see what I mean. This one I really just did a photo collage, and I only had a couple areas of embellishment, but you can see with all those photos and that big mat, there's not a whole lot of design work I had to do, and I really found that helpful to kind of just create something and get out of that logjam. Here's another one. This is one of my go-to designs, and that's another really good prompt that I would say to use if you have a type of layout that you're really comfortable with doing. Like, just do it. It's okay if it's a layout you kind of do a lot. Finding your mojo is really just about creating something. So this idea where I have 3 photos and a strip that kind of take off a side of the page, and I really have to just focus on this little area of embellishment, I really love doing that. Here's another one where I used 4 photos, and I pretty much just had 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, embellished a little bit in the middle with some banners. And here's another one that's a big photo collage, just needed to do a little bit of embellishment on the corners. Another one where I kind of use that same go-to design. I absolutely love this design. If you have 3 4x6s in a row that you can kind of use to make a huge photo section of the page and then just embellish a little bit on the diagonal, I really love that. I think that's kind of what I'm going to work on doing today. And then here's another one where I just did a big photo collage, and then I just had a little bit of embellishment again on the diagonal. So that's the goal today. Something hopefully that's kind of easy that you can pretty much grab from your stash and start working on right away. So I have 3 photos here from my mom's wedding. I really wanted to go with that go-to design I really like, where I put them basically in a strip, and I have one background sheet here. I also love this because you don't need a ton of product. You just need your photos, one sheet, and then like a cut apart sheet or something. So I'm really liking how this is looking, because you can see here, I love how this pattern kind of goes with her dress. And I'm kind of already thinking I'm gonna do something similar from my other kind of go-to design, where I do a lot of kind of layery stuff here and maybe a little something up here to kind of just balance that out, and that's pretty much where I am. This is Echo Park's Rustic Elegance collection. And then I do have a cut apart. I don't know if I'll use any of these 3x4 cut aparts, but there's this cut apart sheet with a bunch of different kind of tabs and labels. I think it'd be really fun if I could just cluster a bunch of them down here. And then I also have the sticker sheet. I love this piece here. I'm probably definitely gonna try and find a way to incorporate that. But this is definitely a good go-to design for getting out of a jam, is focusing on a super photo heavy layout. That way there's just not a whole lot of design work you have to do. With this type of layout in particular, I always recommend some layery bits to kind of help you start your layering process, whether that's a doily, a glassine bag, a tag, even a chunk of vellum or tissue paper. A frame works really nice too. Whatever you have in your stash that's kind of this layery, nice detail to kind of form your background for your layer that you can kind of build everything off of. But we're gonna get going. It's just gonna be a normal process video. I'll speed it up and kind of do my normal voiceover, but I just kind of wanted to start with the prompt for today for me, which is a photo heavy layout / kind of using a go-to design. And hopefully you can incorporate that to kind of get out of your own kind of stuck mojo. So thank you guys so much. We were gonna jump into the process video, and we'll see this page come together. Alrighty, so process video time. I'm gonna start with that one sheet that just has a bunch of cut aparts on it and start with cutting apart just a ton of them. So I'm gonna trim up my 12 by 12, get my photos stuck down. I know I want them more to the right side because I'm thinking I'll have this big Larry area to the lower left of this page, and then just a little bit of like balanced embellishment in the upper right hand corner just so there's a little something across the page. But I really love this design, and I think it's nice when you have a collection like this with one of those sheets where you can just cut apart a bunch of things and just use that for your embellishment pretty much. I do pull a couple stickers off of this sticker sheet here. I love this one here that says "with my whole heart for my whole life." There's also a sticker on there that says "it's our day" with the little date section, so that's nice because I can go ahead and write the date on there, and then I don't have to worry about dating the layout. So I kind of already know I'm going to use those pieces, but for this first section I'm really just going through that cut apart piece and trimming a bunch of these different cut aparts out. And again, just for getting out of a Mojo slump, this is great because you really don't need a lot of product. You really just need one of those collections that have one of these little cut apart pieces and just go to town. You don't have to think too much about it. You just have to layer up a bunch of things and you're good. So it's great for getting you out of a jam. My biggest piece of advice for a layout like this is to just start with a couple big layers in the back. I have that big doily from Allie, but you don't even need a doily that big. You could use a glassine bag, you could use a paper bag, you could use some tissue paper. I love the way torn paper or torn vellum looks, so you can really just dive into your stash, whatever you have, just to get a couple big but simple layers for the back kind of layer, and then just go to town building up a couple of these cut apart pieces from whatever collection you're using, and usually come up with something pretty interesting, especially the more you pile on, so you can kind of do as much or as little of this as you like. I do love this collection because there are a lot of neutral things like these plain looking kind of stamp labels, so it's easy to kind of layer up a bunch of these pieces and it look interesting but not too overwhelming. There's that big doily there. I definitely wanted something large to kind of fill in that space. I feel like it's definitely on theme with the wedding themed. I'm going to go ahead and glue my photos down. And another thing I really like doing when I have a strip of photos like this is to border the photos. So you can do this with washi, a strip of paper, branding strip. One of my favorite things to do is take a border punch. So I will go with a border punch with some plain white piece of paper just to do a scallopy edge, just so there's something edging these photos going onto the background. And I think that with it being white and a wedding theme also makes it look really nice and a little added detail. So that's another thing I usually always like to add to this kind of go-to design for me. But I love the way these little plain like stampy like label looks like all together, so I'm really trying to go with that look. Right away I wanted to figure out what was going to go in the upper right hand corner just because there's less room up there, so I want to make sure I'm using the sized things I need to kind of do something interesting in the upper right hand corner. I really like the black label with this little Mr. and Miss and this little heart stamp I think is super cute. So now that I kind of have something in the upper right hand corner, I'm just going to go to town layering up a bunch of things down here. I definitely want a couple of these kind of bigger layery bits. I want to make sure this sticker that I was most excited about is going to be kind of in the forefront. So that's going to go up on some foam there. And I'm just going to figure out kind of how to layer that. I think I end up doing it like this. And now I'm just going to layer up a couple things below it. But I'm really just going through all that stuff I cut apart. I know that there's some brown from like the wood grain in this collection I want to pull in, and then there's little pops of the aqua and the pink from the sticker, so I just want to make sure that's kind of balanced between these two areas. So you can see that sticker is more on the aqua side. It does have the heart spelled out in pink, but I'm going to pull in a pink little label into that area too, just so it's a little more balanced. And then since I have the little black label in the upper right hand corner, I'm using the little black love stamp, which I think balances that black nicely. So I'm just trying to play around here, but I'm trying not to think too much about it. You really don't want to overthink when you're kind of already in a Mojo slump. You just kind of want to stick things on the page and you can kind of mess around with it as you go, but you really don't want to overcomplicate things. I did switch out the little stamp cut apart in the upper right hand corner for one that has a pink heart. That way there's a pink and aqua element up there, and I think that balances the sticker in the lower corner better. And that's going to go up on some foam as well. I don't think I've put it up on some foam yet, but this is where I decided to stop before I started gluing all this stuff down and go ahead and get a border punch down. So I just have a couple strips of scraps of white piece of paper that I decided to pull in from the side of my mat. So I'm just going to do my little scallopy border punch, and I'll glue that on either side of my photo. And I think that's a nice little layery bit that kind of helps segue the photos into all of these layers. And I always think a white scallop border punch is perfect for wedding anyways, which is nice, but you can use that on any page obviously, so it doesn't even have to be wedding themed. But for this page in particular, I really felt inspired to do that just because it seemed like it was particularly on theme. So I'm just going to get that glued down. It just takes me a minute. I'll end up kind of shifting all these cut apart pieces off to the side so I can get that stuff glued down. But I just love that little extra detail. It was really all I needed, and that's what I like about this page too, is you just don't need a lot of product. I'm using one 12 by 12 and then 2 scraps here for these border punches, and then just some of a cut apart sheet that came with the collection. So it's kind of nice. That is one way I find I get stuck Mojo wise, is just stuck with my product. So it's nice having a page like this you can go to. You really don't need a lot. Sometimes it can be overwhelming trying to figure out a page if you don't feel like you have embellishment for a certain paper you want to use or something like that. So a collection like this where there's already a cut apart sheet that coordinates with a piece of paper, you're good to go. Here's where I am popping up the little stamp that's going to go in the upper right hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and glue that little cluster in the upper top right hand corner down. I'm pretty much going to stick those things back where they were. I liked how that was spaced out. I'm trying not to cover up the photo too much, but I definitely want it to not look like it's smushed up there in the corner. And now I'm going to go ahead and glue down everything I had in the left hand corner, because I'm pretty happy with how that was all laying too. So it's just kind of a game of getting it back where I liked it. So I'm going to get that down. I already put the With My Whole Heart for My Whole Life sticker up on some foam, but I will go back. It's still on the sticker sheet. That little piece that says It's Our Day, that's going to go up on some foam as well. So now I'm just playing. I think I wanted a couple more layery pieces, so I'm just looking off screen kind of at what I have cut apart to see what else I want to add. There's just a black and white piece that says Invitation, and I really like the boldness that the black pieces have on this page. I don't want to make it too dark because I do like how kind of light and airy this page is. I thought about adding a pink label up there, but I actually like how that cluster looks up there. I really didn't think like I needed to add pink, especially because that pink heart is on that stamp. But I know I want more than what's here, so I'm really just looking through what I've already cut apart to see out of that what I want to add. I don't even use any of the word stickers or anything off that sticker sheet. I really just play around with all the cut aparts I cut apart in the beginning. I thought about adding this one invitation tab. I really liked the detail of kind of the ticket shape. I decided I just didn't need it, so I go back to my original plan and pretty much stick down everything I had stuck down at the beginning. I'm trying to remember which part I do next. I know there's that invitation piece I knew I wanted to add. I'm just trying to bring this cluster down a little bit. I want it to be kind of stretched down towards the bottom of the doily there. So I'm just going through and trying to figure out which pieces I want to use to do that. That's not going to kind of mess up the flow I already have going. I do want something kind of sticking out horizontally behind this doily. I thought about doing a tag, but I ended up going for a glassine bag just because it's more kind of light and airy and goes with that wedding theme for me. I wanted it to not be distracting but add another layery detail, so glassine bags are always great for that. I love how they look behind doilies too. So I'm going to get that glassine bag down. I think it's a perfect little horizontal touch to kind of anchor that doily there. And now I'm going to go ahead and stick down these stickers with the foam. I'm pretty happy with how they're looking there, so I'm going to go ahead and secure them. Here's that last sticker. I'm going to write the date on that and then pop that up on some foam as well. And I think that creates a nice little cohesive cluster over here. There's a few areas on these cut aparts that are kind of open that I'm thinking I might fill in with some more embellishments. So especially these kind of larger stamp cut aparts, I kind of want to put something in them. So I'm thinking about that in the back of my head. I'm just looking at this sticker sheet. There's a couple dark wood grain elements I really like. I already pulled off the kind of ampersand and the dark wood grain heart. And I think having one of those in each of these clusters would be really nice, especially since these photos are taken out in the woods. So there's one heart there. I'm going to pop that up on some foam and kind of tuck it up there with the stamp. I love the introduction of that dark wood grain. And I think it helps balance the dark brown that's in the main sticker, as well as obviously this dark wood grain ampersand I'm adding right now. So I think that's really sweet. I love that rich pop of the dark deep wood grain on a light and airy page like this. I think it kind of adds to that rustic feel, which I feel like these photos are kind of more rustic anyways. And then there is a Mr. and a Miss on the sticker sheet too, so I decided to go ahead and incorporate that into a couple of these more empty areas of this cluster over here. So I added the Mr. and then I added the Miss, and then I just went through my stash and pulled out some more wood grain hearts just because it is wedding and it is more rustic, so I feel like a nice raw little cluster of wood veneer hearts would be the perfect like finishing touch. So I'm just going to cluster a few of these in both of these areas, and then that's pretty much it. So pretty easy page to come together. Hopefully this is something you can really use for your own page. This is just a great design to kind of get unstuck, since you really don't need a whole lot. There's actually way more on this page than I originally intended, because the whole point of this one is kind of to minimize the space you have to design with having a bunch of photos and taking up the bulk of it. But hopefully you could see through plenty of those example photos in the beginning, different ways you could do this. But I just love this one. You need one 12 by 12, a bunch of photos, and just like a cut apart sheet or a die cut packer or something just to kind of cluster in a corner. You really don't even need that little cluster in the right hand corner if you just wanted to do kind of one cluster there to the side. But that's pretty much it. So close-ups are coming up here in a minute, but hopefully this is a helpful prompt for you guys to kind of find your mojo doing a photo heavy layout. Make sure you check out Leah's page for today. She's using Mercy Tiara's prompts to make an impact with black, and I will see you guys next Wednesday for our next Mojo video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.